This is Aaron Golub, host of the Blind Ambition podcast. We'll be bringing you world-class leaders, entrepreneurs, and athletes, people who have overcome obstacles and used their ambition to create enormous success in their lives. If you enjoy this podcast, if you get anything out of it, the only thing I'll ever ask is that you subscribe, rate, and review. Hope you enjoy. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in again this week. I'm your host, Aaron Golub, and this week I'm joined by Evan Carmichael. Evan, thank you so much for being here.
It's happening, Aaron. We're doing it.
I'm so excited. We connected, it was like 7-8 months ago, maybe at this point, last summer. And, I remember I went on your Instagram live, and since then I've taken a lot of advice that you gave me and have really been able to build up my personal brand, my speaking even more from it. And I'm really excited to share that wisdom with my listeners.
I love it, dude. I love it.
Awesome. Well, first off, I want to dive into your story. Where does, this concept of believe come from? You have a really interesting story being an entrepreneur. What does believe mean to you?
So I think everybody has a single most important core value. I call it your one word or your who. And when you figure that out, it gives you clarity for the rest of your life. If you're constantly stuck between what other people want, everybody's got some mission for your life. Everybody's got opinions on what you should do with your life. But when you understand your most important core value, then that gives you the rock to stand on and say, no, I want to go this way. I have confidence in myself. So for me, mine is belief. I think the world's biggest problem is a lack of belief. I think everybody has what I call Michael Jordan level genius at something. They just either don't believe it or they don't do enough to actually chase it down. And so for me, that's what I try to unlock every day. I think it's the world's greatest problem. I think it's never going to be solved. And I wake up every day trying to solve it through my videos, through my books, through coming on shows like yours. If we hit 5 more people today, 80 more people today, 1 million more people today, great. Let's keep going. We're on a mission.
Yeah, no, absolutely. What I find really interesting about your story is the fact that you, from an outside perspective, you're an entrepreneur. You seem like this really outgoing person, an extrovert, always wanting to talk to new people, meet new people, but you're really an introvert. Talk about that. How were you able to go from being an introvert to kind of forcing yourself to be an extrovert in certain situations?
Interesting. I don't actually necessarily see it as forcing myself to be an extrovert. I struggled with this a lot in that I don't need to be on camera. I don't like the lights on me. I don't like networking parties. I hate having to introduce myself to the guy on the airplane next to me. I never do any of that stuff. But what I realized was that if I want to go and solve the world's biggest problem, I'm going to have to become a more courageous version of myself.
Yeah.
Purpose demands you to step up, to step in. And so what really helps me is before I have to go on stage or before I interview somebody on my channel or whatever I have to do next, I'm still nervous a lot. I was still super nervous. I had Matthew McConaughey on the channel last week, and for the 2 hours before that interview, I was a wreck. I couldn't do anything else. But what helps me is come back to service, that we are built to serve. It's not about me. It's about the audience. It's not about me. It's not about Matthew. It's about the audience. It's about the message I'm trying to extract from him and give. And every time I can get it away from me and towards somebody else, I'm here to help. It gives me the courage and confidence to then go do the thing. And it literally happens every single time. Before I'm going to do something big, I'm in my head. I'm nervous. I'm scared. I don't want to suck. I don't want to fail. I don't want to have tech issues, all of the negatives. But then I'll often, if it's a live event, I'll look behind the curtain of the stage and see the audience, him, her, I'm here to help her. And that always just calms me down and lets me get out and do the thing. Yeah.
Is there any kind of, besides that, pre-ritual that you do, when you're in those situations, just whether it be deep breathing or, just mentally getting yourself to focus, or really just what you just mentioned?
I think it depends on how big an event it is or how big an opportunity it is. For the ones that are really big that I'm super scared or nervous for, then there's the service and then there's the I do difficult things. And those are the two that I always balance. So I remind myself that I do difficult things. That the fact that it's difficult, that it's scary, that it's hard, those are three trigger words for me: scary, difficult, or hard. If I say that, if I feel that, if I'm thinking that, then I have to go do the thing.
Yep.
I do difficult things. It's the identity that I have crafted and continue to craft and feel confident in based off of my staying true to it. Because if I'm scared to do it and then I don't do it, I'm eroding that self reputation. Whatever anybody else thinks about me, it's like, how do I feel about myself?
Yeah.
Because if you win something but it wasn't really hard, you don't really feel the win. You know, you might post
Yeah.
about on Instagram, look, I won this race, but it was against 3-year-olds, so you don't really actually feel great about it. But when
Yeah.
it's difficult and you put in the effort, it just feels so much better. And so that's what I want to try to reward myself for, is the effort that I put in. So I always balance between it's service, I'm here to help, I've got a message that can hopefully touch somebody, and I do difficult things. And those two things, it's more of a mental game more than
Yep.
breathing or stretching or um, eating or fasting or anything else. It's the mental game for me.
Yeah. No, I love that. And I think from my perspective, I really enjoy those two because, first off, for the, serving others, helping others, that's something I really focus on in everything I do. I love helping others. I love making an impact. But on the difficult things side, I get asked all the time, like, why do I wake up so early in the morning and why do I go to the gym so early in the morning when I could easily go in the evening?
Mm-hmm.
And it's because I don't like getting up early. I don't like going to the gym early. I don't like taking a cold shower after I go to the gym. It's hard for me. So I force myself to do it because the rest of my day is only going to get easier from there.
Yeah, I think tying your identity to being the person who follows through when it's difficult, that saves you in so many ways, because everything that you want out of life is on the other side of scary, difficult, and hard. Like if you never had anything that was difficult in your life, you would hate your life.
Yeah.
You'd just be 100% inside your comfort zone. You would be photocopying the same day over and over and over again. We want to have variety. We want to have challenges. That's where the growth comes from.
Yeah. If you
And
don't
I
have the
think
challenge, you don't grow.
I think that's where most people are stuck. They're stuck knowing they want more, but they've accepted that they're afraid, and that the fear is a good enough reason to not do it. And so you've got your foot on the gas and the brake at the same time, spinning your wheels, knowing you're capable of more, but not going anywhere.
Yeah. I love that. Do you think it's because people are scared of the success they might see or they're scared of the failure or some other reason?
You're scared of judgment. We're not afraid of failure. We're afraid of failing and who's watching. You're afraid of failing in front of somebody.
Hmm.
You'll sing in the shower, but you won't sing on the street corner because you're afraid of the judgment. Um, that's what holds most people back. Now, there's some real fears, like don't jump from an airplane without a parachute, right? I mean, that's just stupid. Don't just walk out onto the highway because you're afraid, right?
Yeah.
But uh, most of the decisions that we're afraid of aren't actually life threatening.
Yeah.
They're what's going to happen if somebody sees me fail. Whether, and for some people that's the closest families, for some people that's their husband or wife or their parents or their kids or their friends, and for some people that's random strangers, that some random person might leave a negative comment and the thought of that destroys you. So it's recognized, and it's really just other people's opinions that are holding us back. And that's where if you come back to your one word of mine is belief, and people figure that out, that gives you the courage to move forward. Say, no, I'm not going to be happy unless I'm believing in myself more. I have to go do this thing.
Wow. That's so valuable. And, do you think that you learned that at an early age, or is it something that, you've really had to learn throughout the years? Was this something, your belief, you're wanting to help others, you're wanting to serve, was that instilled in you as a child, or was it as you went through your entrepreneurial journey, you kind of learned those throughout the process?
Probably a mix. I mean, my parents are above me here on the wall, my background. And I'm 8 or 9 years old in this picture, and there they are above me. And they would always tell me that I'm Evan Carmichael. I could do anything I believe that I can. My mom would always tell me that if you have the ability, you have the responsibility. If you can, then you must. And so that's like
Yeah.
her voice in my ear. Not, I mean, she was an entrepreneur. So this is not entrepreneurial or having a business or any of that stuff. Just that idea to step up and help and serve and to take on challenges, and to believe in yourself. And then through my work, I think one of the biggest problems that people have is most people who are watching this or listening to this episode, you're probably the most ambitious person that you know. If you like Aaron and you're following his content and there's a lot of nuggets in what he's saying and the guests he brings on, you care about growth, you care about getting better, and you're probably the most ambitious person in your circle.
Yep.
And that's great because you're the light for other people and you're bumping people up and you're saying, go do this and believe in yourself and launch that thing. But nobody's doing that for you.
Yep.
That's the problem. We don't have the people around us who are then doing that for us, who are pushing us forward in a loving way, not with their agenda of what we should be doing with our life, in a loving way forward. And so that's what I try to do with my content. I get that from my YouTube videos because every day I'm hanging around Elon Musk or Oprah Winfrey or Steve Jobs, and their voices are in my head pushing me to want to do more. And I think you need that daily. I think just having it once a week or once in a month, it's not enough.
Yep.
If you listen to Aaron, you get super pumped by the message. Great, you're on fire for the rest of the day. But then you wake up tomorrow and you're still the old person that you were yesterday. So you gotta have that as part of your daily ritual, just like brushing your teeth, right? You got to do it daily or you get cavities. You know, the motivation's got to be there every day. And whatever that is for you, podcasts, videos, books, Clubhouse, YouTube, whatever, put that as part of your daily routine. For you, it's waking up and doing the cold shower and doing the workout and showing yourself and proving to yourself that Aaron does this.
Yeah.
I think if people do it daily, it'll shift their life.
Going with that, one thing I want to touch on, from your book, your new book, Built to Serve, which first off, when I was prepping for this interview, I hadn't had a chance to read it yet. So I went out and read it this week. And first off, I read it in a day. Great read. Read it very quickly. You're a fast
reader. That's crazy.
Well, I have to do Audible because I can't read books. Obviously,
so you listened to me doing it.
But I listened in a day. It was I didn't want to put it down, but still, it was great.
That was fun. So I insisted on reading it myself. That was a fun 2.5 days in the studio recording. I was sick, dude. I was sick. Really? I couldn't talk. Yeah, I had this crazy throat infection. I couldn't talk. And we were considering launching with no audio version because for the publishing rights, there's the publisher and then the audio publisher is a different company who bought the audio version rights. And we're thinking of not doing that deal, not launching with the audio. No, some people love audio. I hate audio.
I mean, for someone like me, it's
of course. You want to be able to listen to it, right?
Yeah. But anyways, there's within the book, one thing that you really said, you talked about how pick your one platform. For you, it's YouTube and I guess now also kind of Instagram, but you pick your one platform that you're going to go all in on. Mm-hmm. And, you're on the other platforms, you have, your username, you have your stuff. And when people mention you or something, you reply, but don't need to be massive on those platforms, mm-hmm. but you really build up and focus on one area. And I thought that was really interesting because, some people say different opinions of, you need to have content everywhere. But I really liked the idea of, really focusing on one area and build your brand around one area. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I think a lot of people try to be everywhere at the beginning. And on top of running a business, like if you're trying to run a company and your goal isn't to be a full-time influencer, that's a problem. You're spread too thin across every platform and you end up sucking everywhere.
Yeah.
So you put out content that you're not proud of. Like, would you subscribe to you? Right? Yeah. Look at your YouTube or look at your Instagram or look at your podcast. Would you subscribe to you? I would for me. I mean, I do. I listen. I need my own stuff. I make it for me and then I share it. And thankfully there's enough people who want it as well. But I love my own stuff. Yeah. So it's really hard to do that at the beginning. It's not possible to be great everywhere. So I would think, where do you shine? Like what platform do you love the most? Where do you naturally go to? Yeah. And then have your account everywhere. So that if you're not going to be on Twitter and you're not making a dedication to be on Twitter, great. Get your name on Twitter.
Yeah.
Turn on your notifications because if somebody tweets at you, you want to be able to respond at least.
Yeah.
And say thank you because maybe if you say thank you for sharing my episode to your audience, what's going to happen is, hey, the next episode, they're more likely to share again because you said thank you, or most people don't. Yeah. So you're creating the account, you're putting your picture on, you're putting your link in your bio, and then you're just listening.
Yeah.
You don't have to, but get your name so nobody else can take your name in the future, right? I mean, the platform comes out, Evan Carmichael, I'm trying to get it as soon as possible.
Exactly. No, 100%.
But then pick the one where you love. Like YouTube is my home primarily because I love video. I love visuals, right? I do now co-host a podcast with a friend of mine that we recorded today, but I don't touch the podcast. I don't know what he does. I don't know how he posts it. I'm on tons of podcasts, but I consume zero podcasts because auditory is the worst for me. I love that you read my book and through the audio version, but I'd be my last resort. Like the only way I would listen to a book is if there was no way that I could read it or watch a video of it, right? That'd be my favorite. But understand that different people they have different styles. I think it's really important to figure out.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The other thing that I thought was really interesting from your book, when you talked about the role your wife Nina has really played in your growth, and how you guys went around to every city in the U.S. that had over, I think it was like 1 million people in it, and she was really helping coordinate all these speaking events and your schedule, and really helping you grow your business. Talk about working with your wife and how that's developed, and how you guys have been able to really grow together, because some people find a lot of challenges there and some people love doing that.
Dude, I think it's the best. I think it's the best. If you know how to communicate, I think it's the best. I was a little worried about it. So I did my tour 1.5 years ago. And for that to happen, Nina would have to quit her job. She had a regular job, 9 to 5 kind of job. But if I'm going to leave for 90 days, there's no way I'm doing that by myself. Like I'd rather not go than to not have Nina with me. So she quit her job, and it was an experiment. Dude, I loved it so much. I think this might be also because I'm an introvert, but we're, in COVID right now. It's just me and my wife. It's great. Like it's the only social contact I actually really need. I mean, I get it. This is great doing this with you and other people on virtual and Zoom, but really I have my wife, I'm good. And I think if you're able to communicate really well, you get somebody who you can trust. You get somebody who's committed. You get somebody who you can give them a role that they love what they do and they feel connected. I think one of the hardest things for entrepreneurs is their spouses don't understand because we don't bring them in to the scenario.
Yeah.
So one of the things I really had to learn when Nina had a job was when she came home, she'd always ask me what happened, like, how was my day? I have no need to talk about my day. I'm an introvert. Yeah. I get no value talking about my day. It doesn't make me feel good. But I did it because she wanted to know what was going on. It made her feel closer to me. So I had to spend extra time kind of diving into that for our relationship. But now she gets what I go through. She's there with me. We're fighting together, as opposed to I'm doing this and you're doing that. Awesome. So I think if you have a good ability to communicate, it's one of the greatest things ever.
That's awesome. No, that's fantastic. I know, for myself, before COVID, obviously, before the pandemic, when I was doing live speaking events, it was definitely more fun and enjoyable. I mean, regardless, I love speaking events. They're fun for me. But it was definitely more enjoyable when, my girlfriend and I get flown out to an event and we are there for a day and we stay over and we come back, versus if, I fly out by myself and do the event by myself and at the hotel by myself and come back by myself. It's more enjoyable because you're with someone else and you're sharing that with them.
Yeah. I think when I travel to do speaking, I turn into a slightly different animal where it's work. And if we're going to do, I'll often spend an extra day in the city if Nina's coming with me to spend time enjoying the city and seeing attractions and having restaurants. Because when I'm working, I'm working. Yeah. If I'm speaking at an event, my keynote might be an hour long, but I'm there the whole day. I'm there early. I'm greeting people at the door. After my keynote, I'm out in the hallway until sometimes midnight or 2 a.m. Like she'll have to drag me. It's like, okay, like it's getting too much because I want to give and help. I see that entire time that I'm there as serving the client and the audience, that I'm not paid just to speak for an hour, but I'm there to be there as a contributor for the whole time. So I'll often book an extra day to be with her, because otherwise when I'm on speaking tours, like speaking days going off, then I am just dialed into work.
100%. Having been able to achieve the success that you've had as an entrepreneur, as a speaker, as an author, as a YouTuber, what advice would you give to someone younger? Whether it be someone just starting out, or even someone kind of like me who's not just starting out anymore, but on a pretty good path and wants to get to a much higher level.
For speaking?
for all areas, as being an entrepreneur, as being a speaker, as being an author, of, you know, all areas, whether it be someone starting out or someone who's, you know, had a good amount of traction, but not, you know, to that high level yet.
So I'd really dissect, what do you want to be great at? And then spend more time doing it.
Yeah.
Like, most of us are spending too much time doing crap that we're not good at and we don't want to be good at. Like, you have no ambition to be great at this. So if you wanted to be a great speaker, for example, and you want to be flown out to events and you want to get a lot more speaking gigs, then you need to be making a daily YouTube video of you speaking.
Yep.
And don't worry about the editing. I was talking to a guy today who also built the Serve, and he wants to be a speaker. And he's done some speaking, but not kind of where he wants to be yet. And he says, the problem is it doesn't take me that long to make the video, but then I spend hours editing it. Like, why? You're training the wrong skill. If you spend 15 minutes recording the speech and then 4 hours editing it, you're training the wrong skill. You're teaching yourself to be an editor, but your ambitions are to be a speaker. You need to spend 4 hours speaking.
Yeah.
Because when you get on stage, you can't be edited. You make a mistake, you got to recover from it. And so instead of worrying about editing and releasing a video once a week, I want you to speak every day and release that video. So to really dissect, not even what you're great at now, but what are your ambitions? What do you want to be great at? I wasn't good at speaking at the beginning. You can go back and watch my first videos. I sucked. I stumbled. It's embarrassing. But I knew I wanted to get better at it. And so I practiced and I practiced and I practiced and I practiced. And too many of us are doing too many things that we feel we need to do, but you don't actually. And to cut as many of those away as possible and focus on the one thing you want to be great at least spending 50% more time on it, and you'll see massive growth in your business.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's so powerful. And I first off, you know, I love that, you know, you came on today, that we've, you know, kept in touch. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. I know my audience is going to get so much value from you, and, you know, I look forward to what the future holds. You never know. And thank you again.
Cool, man. Well, I know it's been a little bit to try to make this thing happen. So I appreciate your patience and the back and forth and the scheduling and all that, and super pumped for your show and honored to be here and excited to see, man, 10 years. Where's Aaron? It's going to be wild.
No, thank you. I appreciate it. You know, it's a lot of work every day, but I have, you know, a lot of people that I have been able to build connections with that I look up to. And, you know, you're one of them. I appreciate your time. And, you know, you know, as you said in your book, you know, I'm probably someone who says in 10 years, I want to be where you are. And then, you know, you'll be even further along. So 10 years later, I want to be where you are then. So, you know, looking forward to it.
I love it, man. Well, thanks for having me on, and we'll see you soon. Keep in touch.
Sounds good. Have a great rest of your day.
You too, man. Ciao.
Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. If you enjoyed it at all, if you got one thing out of it, we'd really appreciate it if you would subscribe, rate, and review. Thank you.